I would like to start talking about the next speaker. So, here's the thing. Some of you already have read up on her and what she does, and I just want to share some of that stuff with you. Of course, as you already know, she's a persuasive content expert and coach. She is the CEO of SEO Creative and founder of Writing with Rosie. And she's already gone and done 500,000 words in persuasive content. This is not someone that's an amateur in what she does. This is someone that spent a lot of time grafting away and making it really in a way where you as a client can come along and work with her, and it's an easy process. Some of the names that she has worked with is Smashbox. Anyone know Smashbox? Yeah? Wonderful. Heineken? Yeah? Frosty? Wonderful. And so there are some of the names that she's already worked alongside. So she's someone that really knows her stuff. And actually, I personally realised that for her, one of the things that she does, and something that all her clients say, we all joke about it actually, is that she has her Rosie magic. It's literally like she goes around and brings some dust, and you're like, oh, that's good. And everyone makes that face. When you have powerful, persuasive content that is very clear, and you're like, how did you get there? I wrote the same words, they don't look like that. And she's awesome at really creating that for her clients. So, who would like to actually hear from her tonight? Yeah. Wonderful. Who would like to hear from Rosie tonight? Yeah. Are you happy with that?
You could do better, I think, but you know, you could do better, yeah.
Are you ready for Rosie? Yeah.
That's what I like. That's better.
Okay. So without further ado, I would like to call Rosie onto the stage.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Hi. Hello. Little note to whoever wrote this. My name is not spelled like that, right? Anyway, this is just me, and I got a little bit of a thing about my name because I'm Italian. Everybody just gets it wrong. I don't know, you guys. Anyway, welcome. As I said, I'm Italian. Keep the energy up because I'm going to be quite hyper all the time. So just try and match me because or else it's just going to look like I'm the weird one and you guys are normal. Yeah? Good. So what we are going to do tonight, you heard it already, we are going to talk about stories and storytelling. So selling through stories. How we can build actually a connection emotionally with our audience. And as Sephora said before, that can be done in many different ways. It can be on stage, it can be with your written content, it can be through videos. There are many different ways. Of course, what I do is going to be related to writing, you know. So you heard a little bit about me. I'm Rosie. Hi, everybody. And as I said before, I'm Italian, and I've been working in copywriting for about, 6 years. So Sephora already gave the number, and I was thinking about it. Just actually in the past 7 days, I have worked on about 10,000 words just in 7 days. I was like, that number, I'm pretty sure it just goes up and up. Like since the last time I gave it to you, I'm like, it's not right anymore. But I've been working with several brands, big ones, Swarovski, Matchbox, GTeX even, and a few more. And I'm always happy to do it. And I work with different brands that are into, of course, copywriting, or they need my help with that. But what I do right now, I actually help entrepreneurs and business owners who want to sell through persuasive content. And that's something, that is quite interesting, because I think, especially right now with everything going on in terms of using the internet, writing, being out there, expressing what it is that you do, talking to your audience, engaging, is all very important. And the way to do it is, of course, through writing, right? So that's why I made it my mission, in a way, to just say, you know what, I can help these people. Let me do it. What we're going to do tonight, we're going to talk about storytelling. And specifically, I'm going to share with you why that is really key when it comes to building a business. We're going to, of course, we have a limited time, but we're going to go through why storytelling is important, what is storytelling. I'm going to share with you a few techniques that you can use to actually create a story for your audience. Then I'm going to show you how actually big brands use storytelling and how they can actually leverage stories and a narrative to just sell more. And of course, I'm going to show you how you can do the same. Because or else it would not make sense, just for me to be here. And then I'm going actually to show you the steps that you can take, easy to implement, to go ahead and do the same. Sounds good?
Yes.
A little bit better? Sounds good?
Yes.
Thank you. That's what I want. So you're ready? So we did this already. You're ready to start, yeah? So what is storytelling? One of my first memories, actually, as a child, I think I was about 4 or 5. So I'm from the south of Italy. But for the first few years of my life, I actually lived in the north of Italy. And one of the first memories that I have is my grandpa sitting with me on the bed and actually reading me a story. And it's such a, it's a memory, of course, that I cherish because of my grandpa. He's not here anymore, so I cherish that. But it's also because, for me, that was the first moment that I actually had a contact with a story. It's one of the first few memories that I have. And I remember that fascination that I had with just, taking time to listen to him, being excited about it. I don't even know what the story was about exactly, but I was so caught in it. And that's what storytelling is, isn't it? It's just about hearing the stories and get caught up in it. And for me, that was just the beginning. Then I just wanted to read more. I wanted to hear all the stories possible. And we are like that because we're humans. And humans, even if you go back and look at how, the cavemen used to do it, they had stories. They sat around a fire. I wasn't there, just in case you're wondering. But they sat around fire, and they were just sharing stories. And that's how, they were passing on traditions to the next generations. And that's what we've been doing. And storytelling is that. It's finding something that it can connect us to the person next to us. So, of course, the question is, why then is storytelling so important when it comes to business? And it's quite fascinating that, I don't have the intentions anymore, but I think a few of you were talking about making connections. Storytelling is very important when it comes to business because of actually creating the connections. Stories resonate with people, they connect with people, and of course, they also sell to people. So you want to be able to find what is that kind of story that will speak to your audience, that will talk to them, that will connect and resonate with them. And that's what you want to use to then basically make money. Sounds easy, right? I mean, it's quite straightforward in a way. Of course, it's not that easy, but the principle is that simple. It's just really about having stories in place that can actually sell for you. Of course, as I said before, there are a lot of big brands that do the same. And I see these every day. Just actually, so one of the things that I was working on last week was for this this brand called Uniqlo. You know these guys? I think you say it like that. Oh, I never know. It's that one. And they were actually talking about how they understood the values of their customers and how they created a story of sustainability around that. And that's the reason why, while brands such as Zara and H&M in the past 12 months have basically more than doubled the products range that they have available, whereas Uniqlo said, you know what? No, we're gonna actually cut our products range because we know that our customers don't care about all of this. They care about sustainability. They care about this quality, the story that we have to tell. So there are a lot of big brands out there. You see a few here. You see Nike, of course. I think he's one of the biggest examples. They just made us feel or make us feel as if we are athletes. They created that sportswear that is not just meant for athletes, but it was like the idea behind it was we're going to create something that everybody can wear, and they just gonna do it, right? Just do it, and feel the same, feel like athletes, go ahead and rock it, and they can do it. It doesn't matter whether you're super trained and you got muscles or you're like me, a little bit of a twiggy thing. So, that's what Nike was building as a story. There are a few others. I think, how many of you watch Queer Eye? Or has ever, guys, you don't know what Queer Eye is? Oh my God, this is, you were scared and ashamed of saying it. I saw it. But okay, I'm going to skip then this example, do a little bit of a homework, go home and watch Queer Eye tonight. Just saying. But okay, let me take another one. Tom's, for example, they created that 1-for-1 slogan that is on there. And that was actually also born from that story of the founder basically going to Latin America and seeing children with no shoes. And he thought, what can I do to help these kids? That's how the 1-for-1 was born. And for one pair of shoes that is sold, the kids get one pair of shoes. How powerful is that? Right? I mean, that really changes the perspective of just me go ahead and buy shoes, because any brand has shoes. So that's what they did, and they created a story that was really, really working for them. The most probably famous case ever in history is this one, though, right? Yes, there's somebody saying like, yes, you know it. The beers. I'm pretty sure that it's like the original is the bears, but I'm gonna go with the beers. A diamond is forever. That says it all. A lot of people don't even know that it's actually a slogan. But it was born as an advertising slogan. And right now we just use it all the time in our daily life. These guys are a great example. So let me just quickly tell you what they did, right? So, in the 30s, in the US, Great Depression, bad times, you guys, bad times. So diamonds were not really doing that well. I mean, they had enough problems. Who was carrying really bad diamonds? I mean, So the beers, of course, had a tiny bit of a problem. They were like, okay, we own pretty much the whole market in terms of diamonds. Nobody wants them. Who's gonna buy them? Because everybody was thinking diamonds are just made for the elite. The high class, the rich and famous, Gatsby, all of that. But the beer thought, ain't gonna work, you guys. We have to do something. So in 1938, they decided to hire an advertising agency. And they gave them one single task: to create an emotional value around diamonds. Sounds like, okay, emotional value around diamonds. What can we do? Now, luckily for them, they started to work together with this agency, and this agency started to think, you know what? We can create a story. There is no story, no tradition right now for diamonds, but we can make up one, because that's what we do in advertising, just make up things. So they thought, no worries, we got this. We can just help you with this. And they were very, very lucky because they had a great copywriter that in 1947, this woman, Frances Gerety, just went to bed one night, and before actually going to sleep, she wrote on a paper next to her bed, "A diamond is forever." She went back the next day in the meeting room, and she was like, doesn't sound like much. Also, what does it mean? Plus, at that point, forever was also spelled incorrectly. But copywriting is not about grammar. Let me tell you, that's a little bit of a myth. It's not really about grammar. So they were having a whole big discussion. But then eventually somebody in that meeting said, you know what? This works. What if we make everybody think the diamonds are for eternity? What about convincing every woman in the room, in that room, I guess, America, that she wants a diamond because that's the proof of love. That's the proof of love that is eternal. So I don't know, how many of you have an engagement ring? Or have had an engagement ring? Right? I feel that I don't have any yet. Just say. Don't have any yet. But pretty much everybody at this point will get a diamond. And at that moment, just a few years later, in 1951, 90% of brides in America had an engagement ring there was with a diamond. So what the Beers did was basically create a tradition. They said, let's just create this emotional connection to diamonds. Let's just tell them the diamonds are not only precious, but they represent love. They represent eternity, immortality. You know, around that time, there was also something going on with war, so they knew that there were a lot of men going abroad, a lot of men still in the army, so they thought, let's just appeal to the male ego. If you go away, you might not be coming back because you might be died with a bomb or something, but hey, your lady, she will have a diamond forever. That's what basically... It's a true story. It's a true story. I read it. I wasn't there again, but I read it. It's pretty much how it went in my head. But they were actually also paying jewelers, not jewelers, jewelers, to tell to people, well, if your man is not buying you a diamond, it doesn't mean that you're really engaged to him. So in those times, like, oh, no, my God, please. Yeah, so that really worked so well for them. Right? Crazy people, but we buy into it. That's the thing, we buy into it. And this actually became, in, I think it was 1999, the slogan of the century. It came from a woman in the 40s, one silly idea that turned into something much bigger, into a story that was told over and over and over. And of course, throughout the different campaigns, they did change the slogan a little bit. They tweaked it. For example, in the 60s, because of rock and roll, they had this whole thing like, you know, the only rock she's gonna need is a diamond. You know, they came up with all this. This is what we do as copywriters. We come up with these very silly ideas, but it works. So the slogan changed sometimes depending on the campaigns. But the emotional value, the tradition of it, that never changed. That feeling of diamond equals love, equals immortality, equals forever. That's always been there. Fascinating, right? And here comes then the question of, how can I do it? You know, how is this going to be my next step in my business? Or maybe you're starting out a business, as some of you were, and it's never too early or too late to actually think about storytelling in your business. Because it's always something that you can bring in, you can change. And I'm here to tell you, you can do it. You don't need to have crazy ideas and a board meeting with 100 people and then whatever. You can do it. I'm here to tell you. So what are you going to do? The first thing, of course, is knowing your audience. And this is probably something that you hear a lot. Right? Every time that we talk about business, it's always about know your audience, understand them, but it is really the beginning. You need to learn what is it really that triggers them. What are their problems? Because again, if we take that example of the Beers, if they didn't know that women wanted diamonds and eternal love, that idea would have not worked really. So it's really about understanding, okay, what does my audience want? What is that really motivates them and triggers them and moves them to take action, to buy from me? That's the first step. The second one, of course, is what I call the language beyond the language. So the way that we look at language is like an iceberg. I've never seen an iceberg in real life, but I heard stories about it. So there is the top, right, and that's above water. And then if you will look underneath with the water, there will be a very big, giant, cold, icy mountain, I guess, is what it is. And that's how language is. So what we hear, what you hear right now with my words, that's the top of the iceberg. That's all you see in. But everything that I am communicating comes with a lot more than that. You will hear this also from James later. It comes from the facial expression. It comes from my body language. It comes from my voice. But it also comes from who you are. It comes from your culture. It comes from the background of your family. There's so much there. So we might be thinking, these are just words. They are not. There is always more. So it's interesting to understand about your audience. What is really that they mean when they say, oh, well, I don't want my business to fail. Maybe you are a business coach, Or, oh, I got pain in my back. What am I going to do about it? Maybe you're a physiotherapist. There's always more that you need to explore. And then there is the last step, of course, which is connected exactly to what we're talking about tonight. Creating stories, creating a story that is yours, that you can actually craft and use to connect, resonate, and eventually sell to your audience. Yeah? So you might be thinking at this point, okay, so what am I going to do now? I got these 3 bullet points, right? What's the next step? What is the first thing that I can do tonight, Rosie? The first thing that you can do is actually sit down, talk to your audience. Speak to them. Stalk them online. No, don't stalk them online. That would be creepy. But, just lurk around and see how people... No? Too much? Eh. Just see how people actually talk about their problems. Just see how people communicate. Sit down with them and ask them, what is really your problem? And then ask them, what do you think the solution to that is? So really get to know them. See how they feel. See how they communicate. That's your first thing. The second thing that you want to do, of course, is to think about that language. Think about the language and find the emotional connection to it. What you want to do is basically to look deeper into what that language is, as I said, and sort of connect it to some sort of emotion. So what you want to do with it, let's say, is, I'm going to take again that example of, I don't want my business to fail. I think if you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, you do say that very often, probably. So I don't want my business to fail. What does that really mean? Probably if you listen closely to your audience, what they are saying is, I don't want to maybe fail. I don't want to just go ahead and disappoint everybody around me. I don't want to take that risk of, throwing myself into a new career and then finding out that that doesn't work for me. And if you look one step further, that's going to be, oh, I'm frustrated, I'm scared, I'm unhappy, or whatever. So try and find really what it is that they are saying and try to understand what it is that they can really tell you in a way, And the other thing that you want to have in there is, of course, as I said, to have your story. So the way that you want to do this is by creating a story, especially if you are like the brand, a story that resonates with them. What you want to do is that you don't want to write a biography. Please don't do that. I've had clients coming to me with 10 pages and then asking me to put it on their website. I'm like, nope, it's not going to work. So you're just going to look at those 3 to 5 milestones, defining moments of your life that actually made you who you are today, or that made you start your business. Basically, there is this one client of mine, Suze. She did this very beautifully because she realized, she's a coach, and she realized that a lot of the times she was who her clients are now. So what we did together was actually to create a story where the before and after of the clients was actually connected by her being in the middle. She was the missing link between, that problem and overwhelm and whatever it is that they were going through, and on the other side, the financial freedom that they were looking for. So you become, like, your story, you're the hero of the story, but actually your story becomes becomes their story. And at the same time, you are going to be the mentor, the guide, the Gandalf. Any Lord of the Rings fans in here? Yeah, this one you watch, okay. So you're going to be the Gandalf of the situation. So don't make it about me, but just make it about, okay, what can I pick from my story, from my experience, that is actually going to resonate with them? Yeah? Sounds doable, right? Sounds like something good. So at this point, you might be wondering, okay, must be a catch. This sounds way too easy. What goes really wrong here? And I can tell you, having worked for a while with many different clients, that doesn't really matter whether you're a big company or a tiny one. Unfortunately, because of NDAs, I cannot share details, but I would have a very good example of a big company just screwing it up pretty much as anybody that could be starting their business. But one of the things that goes wrong is that people stop, when it comes, for example, to the audience, just at the demographics. My audience is female, male, from 30 to 50. This is what they do. That's what people really focus on. That doesn't really say much. So one of the things that really goes wrong is that people don't understand that, again, you need to go deeper. So the one thing that I want you to remember is whenever you're talking to your audience, ask why. Again, example of, I don't want my business to fail. Why? And what more? And what makes you feel? If you do that, you will be surprised by how much people are going to tell you. When I actually do coaching and consultancy work with my clients, with a lot of business owners like you guys, they say to me that I am very good at making them cry during our first session. Not because I'm mean, don't think that, just because I'm so good at asking, but why? And what more? And what's really going on? And they never really realized what was really at play. And they sometimes realize, I know nothing about my audience. So it's a different perspective that you need to bring in there. The other thing that really goes wrong is, as I said, the language. We think about, oh, but if you use the word consultation, everybody uses it. So what? If your audience resonates with that word, go ahead and use it. What's the issue? Or people that suddenly are like, oh no, but there is like a weird connotation right now to that buzzword thing that has been used online over and over. Again, so what? If your audience likes that word because they understand it, it doesn't matter. It's about creating your own word bank, basically. Based, of course, on your audience. Don't just go and be like, okay, this word really speaks to me. Don't do that. The other thing that really goes wrong, and this really drives me insane, is that people will tell me, I don't have a story though. Don't have a story? I'm like, this really confuses me. Between the client that brings me 10 pages of their story and people telling me I don't have a story, this really drives me insane. Because you know what? When I started this business, and when I decided I'm going to do more coaching and consultancy, I'm not just going to be there and write behind the scenes, there was one reason that really triggered me. And the reason is that I personally believe that everybody has a story. Even when you don't realize it, there is always a story that needs to be told and needs to be heard. And you never know when somebody needs to hear it. But if you do it at the right time, and they are your clients, they're going to buy from you. So even if you think, I don't have a story, dig deeper. There is a story there. I'm very good at getting it out of people, but there is a story there. You know? Again, at the same time, if you think like, oh, but my story is like, again, Lord of the Rings, 3 movies, even 6, you know? Too much. Bringing it down. And don't go, please don't go. Do me a favor. I don't know you guys. But do me a favor. Don't go for the rags to riches story. Don't. Because every time that I hear that, I just want to slap somebody. Unless you did something really amazing, that's not going to be your story. That's the story of everybody out there right now. I had nothing, and now I got everything, and look at me. Oh! Even if that's you, I would still say you might want to talk it over with an expert. You might want to just have that sounding board, talk to somebody, see how that works. And guess what, you guys? That's where I come in. That's my job. So what I do with my clients when I coach them, I get into that space where I can make them cry the first session. That's pretty much my job. That was karma. I got pulled in the wire. That was karma for making people cry. But one of the things that I do is that I sit down with them and we look at, okay, what can we put out there? Because some people are also very, very scared of being too vulnerable and saying the wrong things and exposing facts of their history of their life too much. But it doesn't need to be the way. You need to be confident when you do that. And that's very possible. And that's exactly what I do. And then we take all of that, we take the knowledge of your audience, we take the word bank that we create together, we take that beautiful story that you got in you, and I'm going to drag it out so that you can put out there that dream vision for your clients. And we're going to create a content plan for it so that you can keep on sharing it consistently. Because if you think about it, the beers did not stop there. That slogan, "A diamond is forever," has been around for a very long time. And that's because they were consistent and will keep on repeating, keep on being out there. And nowadays, you do that by being on social media. That's what you want to do. So if this resonates with you, and if you think, I don't want to do it alone, I'm a very nice person, I don't bite. So there are consultation forms coming across. Yeah, there she is. Caroline is there. And you can just put your name down and we can have a nice consultation and I can tell you how we can collaborate and what it is that I can do for you, whether you have already a business, whether you're starting out. Okay? Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Can we give Rosie another round of applause?
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you.